There are 7 different traits that hiring managers are looking for in the engineering industry, meaning that your interview prep must be based off of them. So today I'm going to show you the exact protocol that I followed to ace my interview and get my very first internship within only 2 weeks of applying on the job hunt. All right, let's jump right into it and look at the 7 different categories that we're going to be looking at. We got adaptability, influence, communication, organizability, commitment, decision making, and problem solving. So what I want you to do first is to take a quick screenshot of this because this is going to be absolutely crucial in your job hunting preparation. So first we got adaptability. So obviously this is going to be very important in the engineering industry because there's a tendency that there could be some deadline changes where they could be moved even earlier than expected. There could be some errors in the manufacturing assembly. All these kind of things will require adaptability. So what you're going to need is that bulletproof responsiveness and that flexible work style that they're looking for. Okay. So here's a quick little example. They might ask you, tell me about a time you had to handle a high stress situation due to an unforeseen event at work or school. Now, any sort of situation where you were very adaptable, whether that be in work or school. So this could be something like maybe your supervisor got sick mid-shift and you had to maybe take over their responsibilities. Maybe there was a trainee on the floor and you had to train them and take over that training responsibility of that supervisor. And that right there would show great adaptability, right? Another thing could be like maybe you haven't worked before, but in school, maybe somebody had a family emergency in a group project that you were in, and maybe the responsibilities changed for all of these group members, and you had to assign different tasks accordingly to spread out the work of this one member that couldn't work as much due to his family emergency, right? That's going to show a great level of adaptability, even if you haven't worked an actual job. This could be an experience from school, as I just said right here. And by the way, don't answer brief like I am. Make sure you're answering very detailed and concisely. And if you need more guidance on doing that, you can join my course down below where I teach you exactly how to answer these types of questions, the exact format you want to answer in. And I also show you how to build your resume, build your cover letter, and build your design portfolio. Okay? So for every one of these 7 categories that I'm going to be speaking about in this video, you're going to want at least 2 answers for each section, because there's going to be a variability in the types of questions that they ask, but they will be based off of these 7 different traits. Okay. And also I want to mention that you don't want to script what you're going to say word for word, because when you do this, you seem really unnatural, and when you're unnatural, that seems like you're hiding something, and it might look like you're lying to the hiring managers, and that's not what you're looking for at all. Okay, so make sure you don't script what you're gonna say word for word. What you want to know is just know in perfect detail the story at the top of your head for every type of question that you might be expecting. Okay, so just know the story very well, and you won't have to script. You won't have to script at all, and you won't seem unnatural. The next section is influence. Okay. Influence shows a great level of assertiveness, confidence in yourself, and the ability to sell. And these are very important in the industry because those people are looking for the top performers. And if you could influence somebody with your words and sort of control others' actions out of the best interest of the company, then I can assure you that these hiring managers will be impressed by you. Okay, because you're going to be talking to clients, you're going to be talking to outsourcers, and you're also going to be talking to outside contacts from the company. So the company is going to want someone that doesn't just do the bare minimum, but works hard to get others that are outside the company to comply with the company's best interest, as I just said. So a question that they might ask is, how do you get others in a group setting to accept your ideas? Now, what I do personally is I just find a common ground if somebody rejects my personal idea, but I also sometimes list the benefits and I show how it outweighs the costs. So whatever you do, make sure you answer very detailed and concisely, as I said. Next section is communication. Obviously, as we know, as engineers, this is very important in any work field. No matter where you are, you're gonna have to communicate. And if you don't like that, engineering ain't for you. I'm sorry to tell you this. So yeah, the 3 reasons that communication is very important is because it allows a clear distribution of information, teamwork, and leadership. Okay. This is absolutely true right here, by the way. Bad communication leads to bad teamwork, which leads to bad results. All right. If a team is not communicating clearly, there's not going to be any good results at all. If nobody's on the same page, how can you expect those results that you're looking for, right? So here's another question that they might ask. Tell me of a time you had to work hard in order to understand what someone was trying to communicate. So an example that you could use for an answer is maybe a prof didn't really have a good accent and maybe you had to communicate with other people in your class to understand what he was saying because there's a lot of people in line to already ask him the same question that you had. Or another good answer might be that you had a manager that gave you bad work orders and you didn't really understand exactly what you were supposed to do. So you had to ask a series of questions to understand that task that you had to do, right? So all these examples are pretty good. And make sure you answer detailed. Organizability. This is the next one. Overall efficiency, work quality, and trackability can be expected if you are an organized person, okay? And in the engineering workplace, they want you to be organized because this leads to high efficiency. Who wouldn't want high efficiency from their workers, okay? You've probably heard about 5S. It turns out it is used very often in the industry because why? Organizability is very important. Okay. This also helps with sort of tasks to be done, whether it be your own personal tasks or tasks done as a group. If you're able to track your tasks, then how is that not going to be efficient? How do you ensure that you meet project deadlines? So this is obviously going to be different for everyone. Everyone has a different method, but I personally just jot it into my calendar. But if it is a group project, then I would most likely have this system set up where all of us could see the tasks that are assigned to each of us and when they were done, so that everyone's on the same page and everybody's organized on their own tasks and when they were completed. Next, we got commitment. This shows obviously hard work attitude and shows that you meet expectations. Okay, commitment is very important in the engineering industry, and that should be a no-brainer. Would you rather have this guy at the top right here or somebody at the bottom? It's pretty clear. So don't be that guy at the top. Tell me of a time you went above and beyond to ensure a project task was complete before the deadline. So this will most likely come from a work experience, and whether it be a fast food job or a retail job. It could be how your shift was already over, but you decided to help the cashiers because there was such a long line. Or this could be how you stayed overtime in a fast food job to make sure that everything was stocked correctly so that the morning shift would be sort of at ease, you know. It's these sort of things, these sort of details that ensures that hiring managers are impressed by your work attitude. Okay, so decision making. If you're able to be a good decision maker, then this shows absolute confidence. It shows that you can take initiative and it shows that you are independent. Okay, when you're in the work field, your supervisor isn't going to be holding your hand throughout the whole way. Okay, you're going to be on your own a lot of the time. You're going to have to make your own decisions. Okay, so that's why you got to be a very good decision maker. Here's an example. What was a hard decision you've had to make at work? How did you decide on the action to take? So yeah, as it was with the other examples, you're going to answer with whatever experience you've got. This could be making a hard decision in a group project, what sort of approach you would take to the project, how you guys decided on it. And this could also be maybe in a job that you didn't like. Maybe you had to decide to leave or to stay. That could also be a hard decision. Whatever hard decision you had to make sure you be prepared to answer this type of question. All right, let's jump into problem solving. Problem solving is obviously the essence of an engineer. If you're not a good problem solver, how can you expect to be an engineer, right? So you're going to want to be a very good problem solver if you're looking for these types of positions. and it also shows independent capability, right? As I said, they're not going to be with you the whole time. The supervisors, they're not going to be with you the whole time. So you're going to have to be a good problem solver, because a lot of the time you're going to be doing work on your own, despite the fact that we communicate with everyone in the company. One can sometimes determine a small problem before it becomes a large problem. Give an example of how you've done this. So how I'd answer this is to tell them about a time in maybe a design project that I saw a design flaw pretty early on, which would only take probably like 5-10 minutes. And if you fixed it now, it could save a lot of time later, right? We all know this. The more time that goes on, it's harder to fix those initial problems. So if you could show that you solve problems early on before it becomes a larger problem, then this shows that critical thinking that they're looking for. This shows that you're a good problem solver, which is something that all engineers need. All right, so in conclusion, these are the 7 different traits that they are looking for in the engineering industry, okay? Make sure you screenshot this. I was serious earlier. This is gonna be very important in your interviewing prep, okay? So I wasn't able to answer these question examples very detailed, but if you are looking for more help, I can guide you if you join my course, okay? I go very, very in-depth in these types of content, okay? So if you wanna have further guidance, I could guide you step by step on building your resume, building your cover letter, building your design portfolio, and nailing that interview. Okay, so if you need more guidance, make sure you join the course down below.